What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today.
Hi, I'm Jen Mahoney in Studio City. You're watching LA City View Channel 35, where you can get the best in culture and arts. It's our city, it's our channel.
Hey, just go!
Does our facility improvements come out of this budget? Like Northeast, and, I've been to facilities that need improvements.
Morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, December 9th, year 2014. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Let the record reflect Commissioners Soboroff, Madison, Figueroa Villa, and Saltzman are present, and we have a quorum. Number 1 on the agenda is commission comments.
Commissioner, comments? Rob? Paula? I'll make a comment. Chief Beck speaks of deposits and withdrawals from an important account, the LAPD Bank of Trust. He and I are aligned in the mission to increase and speed up needed deposits into that account. Here's how. Recently announced decisions have led to demonstrations and discussions that justifiably have dominated our news and our thoughts, creating withdrawals from our account that amount to a hacking into our account. Some of the things we have absolutely no control over in other parts of the country. But it gives us the responsibility to make deposits back into the account to replace and exceed what was there. Grand jury guidelines, processes, and decisions that need to be explained for many of us to move forward remain unexplained. We must promise our diverse communities of Los Angeles that we will continue to build upon our relationships and interact fairly with all people. Continuing to evaluate tactics, training, outreach programs, and diversity will make good community policing great, and great community policing even better. And residents must look at how they treat law enforcement officers as human beings. Respect and dignity is a two-way street. A simple thanks for what you do is appreciated by those who perform a very difficult job every single day. The fact that LAPD is widely recognized as the national leader in community policing, and the fact that our oversight model is being replicated by other law enforcement agencies must not allow us to be complacent or sit still. Now is the time to continue to build on the past relationships, to improve them, to open more dialogue, and to make new ones. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have 2 comment cards. We have Mr. John Walsh, followed by Morgan Ricketts, and Mr. Herman. 3 cards.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Mr. Sobroff, did I hear you correctly that LAPD accounts have been hacked? Is that what you said? And is somebody in the world has done it? Is it Korea? Is it ISIS? I mean, is that what I heard? This should be in the front page of every newspaper in America. I haven't heard of any other police forces being hacked. They're stealing our money, and you're interested in replacing the money. I'm more interested in finding out maybe they hacked and found out information that helped. I don't know if it's true, but the rumors all over the city is the terrorists blew that building down. HollywoodHighlands.org. I don't know.
Thank you. And actually, there's only one card for this item. We move on to item number 2, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief Pasinger.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the Commission. Before I give my presentation about crime, I'd like to first publicly commend our partners in public safety, Chief Terrazas and the Los Angeles City Fire Department, for their extraordinary work yesterday in dealing with the fire at Temple and Hope. The actions of the men and women of the Los Angeles City Fire Department were not only heroic, but not only did they save properties that were adjacent to the location that was fully engulfed in flame, but more importantly, they saved lives. Many times the work of that agency goes unheralded, but yesterday was evidence of the amazing work that they do on a regular basis, and I'd just like to add my voice to the many who are congratulating them for the work they did yesterday. I'd also like to congratulate LAPD Captain John Encontro, who was recently selected as the Chief of Police for the city of San Marino. Some of you may not know, but John is a product of the city of Los Angeles. He was raised in Los Feliz, served the LAPD for 35 years. I've known him that entire time. He's been a captain for our department for well over a decade. John has worked training, the bomb squad, K-9. He's commanding officer of Metropolitan Division. He's currently the commanding officer of Emergency Services Division. And he's the latest member of the LAPD who has gone on from this department to be selected as a chief or sheriff for another agency. And I'd like to say in very clear terms, with John's appointment as the chief to the city of San Marino, it's the LAPD's loss in that agency, that city's gain. So congratulations to him and the fine work that he's done serving the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department and also the people in this city. Finally, I'd like to remind everyone about the cadet graduation that occurred 3 weeks ago. It was the largest class in the history of the program. We tend to always say that at the end of every class, but it just so happens to be the case. Over 730 cadets, new cadets graduated from the Cadet Academy, along with 300 parents from the Cadet Parent Academy. I'd also like to publicly commend Dr. Max Nikias in the University of Southern California for awarding the cadet program an annual recurring grant of $100,000. I think all of us will recall there was a point in time when we made the transition from the Explorers to the cadet program. The cadet academies were somewhere in the neighborhood of 150, 200 students. The fact that it has grown not only is an extraordinary marker of the department's outreach to the community, but also evidences the fact that the program needs financial support. And Dr. Nikias, along with the Ray Charles Foundation, has continued to support this phenomenal program in very tangible ways. So again, my compliments and my thanks to Dr. Nikias and the University of Southern California.
Chief, don't be so modest. Take a bow yourself. You've done a great job with this cadets program. Serious.
Thank you. Moving along, the report on crime for violent crime, homicide rate is down 1.3%, an increase in homicides 9.1%. Increase in rape at 9.1%. Robbery decrease of 0.2%, and an increase in aggravated assaults at 22.6%, which is a total violent crime average of 11.1% increase. For property crime, burglaries are down 7.2%, motor vehicle thefts are down 4.6%, burglary and theft from motor vehicles are down 9.3%, and personal and other thefts are down 1.7%, for a total property crime reduction of 5.5%, which brings the total Part 1 crime picture year-to-date 2014-2013 at negative 2.7%. By bureau, Central Bureau is trending up at 3.6% for a total property crime, Part 1 crime increase, excuse me, please. South Bureau is down 2.3%, Valley Bureau is down 8.3%, and West Bureau is down 0.7%. Gang crime, there is a reduction, a total gang crime of 5.6%, and by bureau, it's 8.1% reduction. South Bureau is 11.5%, Valley is trending up at 7.0%, and West Bureau is down 0.3%. And that concludes the report of the Chief of Police.
Thank you. We do have 2 comment cards. We have Morgan Ricketts, followed by Mr. Herman.
I've been attending protests the past few days. People are angry and afraid of police, particularly after Ezell Ford and the Hollywood shooting of an unarmed man on Friday night. It's clear that this is an LA issue, not just an other city issue. We need a revolution in policing. We're asking for concrete measures such as body cameras and more training for officers on diffusing tense situations without violence. We need more transparency. Use of force summaries should be posted online within 30 days of the incident, and they should include badge numbers, the victim's name if the victim consents, what injuries the victim sustained, and what punishment was imposed on the officer for violations of LAPD policy. I'm here to ask LAPD not to remain silent, to release the name of the victim of the Hollywood shooting. Tell us what you know about these incidents, including the officers involved. Just because the investigation is ongoing doesn't mean we shouldn't be kept informed at each step. It's been 4 days now. How long do you need?
Thank you.
Mr. Herman?
Good morning. And the attention of the so-called situation of violent crimes. Would we not say that the arson fire this weekend, the bomb fire, was an example of violent crime? But yet, my understanding and observation and technically listening into the report, that we involve the population of homeless people who unfortunately have the encampment of our public sidewalks and streets in the local area. I find that offensive that anyone use this as an excuse. As we heard earlier from HollywoodHighland.org, John Walsh indicated that this could be an act of violence caused, again, by the extremist terrorists who you have not taken any precautions and the action of a seriousness in your performance to actuate some type of technical response to this. There is no way that this violent arson of a building can erupt in a flame as it did this weekend. And so I say to the city charter and to the federal consent decree, you must do an investigation, not just thoroughly, but absolute. And the use of the FBI and any other outside agency to come up with an adequate decision as to how this arson of violent burning was caused in the downtown area off the 110 freeway. And I found it brilliant from a far distance that the fire got my attention, and I'm pretty sure the people close to the area were well warmed.
Thank you. We're now on item number 3, report of the Executive Director, Mr. Tifang.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the Commission. Just a few administrative items. The Police Commission will not meet on December 23rd nor December 30th. There will be a meeting next Tuesday, December 16th at 9:30. After the 16th of December, our next meeting will be January 6th of 2015. Also, for the Commission's information as well as the general public, as a result of the structure fire that has been addressed by Chief Pasinger earlier, there was significant damage to the Figueroa Tower at 221 North Figueroa, which houses a number of LAPD entities, including Internal Inspections and Audit Division. You have 3 audits on the agenda today, items 8D, E, and F. And unfortunately, Audit Division has not been able to get into their building, and they have no idea as to the damage that their offices have received. So they are not able to be here. I raise that issue. If the Commission has questions on the item, we will continue it most likely till January 6th, because I do not know the status that they might have for next week's meeting.
But if there are no questions, we can proceed. Okay.
I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the Commission and the general public.
Okay.
And that concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We do have 2 public comment cards. We have Mr. John Walsh and Mr. Herman.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or Jay Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. The only way we can find out what's happening in the LAPD is to come to these meetings, because we're not getting it from the media up here. I'm astounded to find out the amount of damage that you don't even know the extent of at Figueroa Tower. I mean, I'm telling you, ask anybody. This has all the earmarks of a military operation. Right across the street from the LAFD. I don't know anything. I know that multiple incendiary devices had to be timed and exploded at the same time. And even the LAFD said this is a career fire. Nobody has ever seen a fire like this, and there were 2 or 3 of them. And you're sitting here, and let me tell you right now, I didn't hear a word about arson. Immediately, ATF came in. ATF only comes in because you're not doing your job. They saw what was happening. This is cover-up city, including all the media, and we want to know why our buildings are exploding. I don't need the full 2 minutes. HollywoodHighlands.org for all the information.
Mr. Herman.
I won't reiterate what Mr. Walsh has explained to all of you, as not to mention that the Department of Building Safety right next door, with all its windows blown out, is an example, Mr. Steve, of how we cannot continue with our daily business due to the violence and the action of arson in this city. We can't blame it on protesters, because the protesters have used their expression under the First Amendment right to be seen, to be heard, and act upon the situation that we're not going to go off topic on and discuss. But I'm going to thank Mr. T-Fang for bringing to our attention that we cannot continue with the business of the city on those certain agenda items, and that they should be postponed until we can actually articulate our points and our decisions on them. But then the whole issue here, again, is an issue of the ATF. When you bring in the ATF, we're going to conclude the answer to my first opinionated question under agenda item of old business number 2. And we're going to conclude to the answers of Mr. John Walsh, HollywoodHighland.org. You can tune in anytime. And let us take it to a slow motion point. When our Councilman Jose Huizar of that district didn't have anything to say while the firemen addressed the issue, it is a grim reminder that...
Mr. Herman, off topic.
Fine. Politicians cannot do their job effectively when dealing with the terrorists action on the arson involved in our city business. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now on item number 4, the report of the Inspector General. Mr. Bustamante.
Thank you, Commissioners. As I had briefed you the prior day, actually, yes, Mr. Tiefeg had briefed you, not only were there other LAPD entities in the building, the Office of Inspector General was also in the building affected by the fire. We were fortunately in the adjacent tower, but because of the condition of the building, we are precluded from entering that building until the earliest Thursday. We also do not have access to any of our servers or our phone banks or phone lines. So to the extent that anybody from the commission or the community is calling in, they're going to get no answer, and they're not going to get much of a response from us until we're able to figure out how to repair the servers and get some kind of phone system in place. And just want to let the commission know that.
Excuse me, but you can still be reached by email?
I can still be reached by email, yes.
Also, Commissioners, anyone who wishes to reach the Inspector General's office, if they contact our main number, 213-714. I have that wrong, don't I? 213-236-1400, 213-236-1400. We'll take messages for the IG's office. That was a wandering back to the back space.
I thought you were giving out your home phone number in the spirit of
Not my home number, sir.
full open public disclosure.
I'm having them call Orange County.
Okay.
We do have 2 public comment cards. We have Mr. John Walsh and Mr. Herman.
We are amazed to find out the extent of the crippling of the LAPD. What was this? 2 homeless guys trying to start a fire to keep warm. That's what we heard right afterwards. That was what you wanted. Unfortunately for you, at least the Obama administration, I want to tell you, all over the United States, this LAPD is a joke. The city is a joke. The mayor is a joke. Where is the mayor? And I cannot even, the Inspector General is sitting here with totally powerless to do any investigations. And who is responsible? Nobody knows. A couple of minorities keeping their arms warm? I'm telling you right now, this could, and I have no information, this could have been a test by international terrorism to see if they can take down a city. And it wasn't in international terrorism. Whoever was responsible, and it wasn't God, whoever is responsible, 100%, AAA, they did a fantastic job of making you look like fools. Fortunately, the media is going to keep quiet about it until the next explosion, God forbid, or the next explosion. And the IG sits here and says, I can't even get into my office. That's how well the proto-terrorists did their job, or whoever it was that exploded this city the last night. And it was on the news. And once the international media come in here, the local media will mean nothing. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Herman.
So, Mr. Bustamante, we can only speculate that your hands are tied up in this investigation due to the fact that we have the ATF priority in this matter. So we cannot conclude and be optimistic that this arson was a cause by anyone other than a terrorist because of its volume, its magnitude. So are we safe in Los Angeles nowadays? It's hard to say, Mr. Inspector General, especially when a man armed with a butter knife was killed in Hollywood. We have to use such aggressive force. My whole vision in the future is that we will no longer use the race issue in taking down civilians in a matter of doing harm, but we should use our utmost intelligence and basic reason when using excessive force. I'm not against enforcement. I'm only against the excessive force, Inspector General. That people in the city of Los Angeles, throughout the state of California, are no longer safe, not only from the unpredictable gang war we have here, but now we're assuming a war against the public, your civilian population, to the extent that we're using excessive force. Use a beanbag, use a butter knife, throw grease, throw flour, anything other than excessive force. But this department must investigate and audit the training of our officers, Mr. Inspector General. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now on item number 5. Item number 5 consists of information items and filed items relative to noise variances and special event permits submitted for the period ending December 5th, 2014.
We appreciate that, and we're going to continue on with the meeting where we don't have a lot to do, and just hang with us. Hang with us.
You don't think it's going to be a lengthy period anyway?
No, sir.
Okay,
No, sir, I don't.
You think it's going to be a relatively short meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're now on item number 6, presentations. Do we have any presentations this month?
Not today.
Thank you. We're now on item number 7. Number 7 is consent agenda items. These items are considered to be routine and non-controversial, upon which the board is provided with adequate information for approval without inquiry or discussion. Would a commissioner wish to pull an item as special for discussion, 7A through 7H?
Move approval of items 7A through 7H.
With thanks to all the donors and appreciation, I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're now on item number 8, regular agenda items. Would a commissioner wish to pull an item as special for discussion, 8B through 8K? 8A is a verbal presentation.
I would be interested in holding item B, and because I'm employed by USC, I need to recuse myself on item G. So we need to take that up individually so that I can recuse myself.
Okay. So let's move forward with items C, D, E, F, and H, I, J. I think we should discuss the budget for a minute and talk about the process. So through J.
Second.
Are there any cards, Madam Secretary, on those items that were?
No, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So let's go to item number B. Oh, wait, we have a verbal presentation.
Yes, item number 8A, verbal presentation and update from the commanding officer and Community Police Advisory Board representative regarding community-initiated problem-solving, crime strategies, and other programs and goals within the Topanga area.
Great. Welcome.
Good morning, honorable members of the Police Commission, Chief Paysinger, everyone in the room. My name is Captain George Rodriguez. I am the commanding officer for Topanga area. And to my left, I have my CPAP co-chair, Mr. Bob Bash.
Bob.
Morning. Today we'd like
what you do, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Today we'd like to give you a brief presentation of Topanga area and some of the things that we've done over 2014 and engage in our community. But first, before I do that, I'd like to go ahead and give those members of the board a quick overview of Topanga. We're located in the West San Fernando Valley. We serve about 37 square miles.
We can see that in front of us, so we're not ignoring it. So we can see it on our computer screens. I just want you to know that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great. We serve the communities of Winnetka, Canoga Park, West Hills, and Woodland Hills. A population of about 250,000 people in that area. And at the moment, our crime reduction efforts have yielded an 8.1% crime reduction. We're sitting at about number 3 in the city. So we're contributing our part to not only Valley Bureau crime reduction efforts, but as well as the city. And a lot of it has been done in part by the great collaboration and partnership that we've built with our communities. What I'd like to do is I'd like to have our CPAP co-chair Bob Bass go into some of the things that we have done, some of the goals that we established at the beginning of the year, and some of the accomplishments that we've done, which have have a direct impact on this crime reduction that we have achieved over the past year.
Thank you, Captain. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning, Bob.
Morning, Chief. I'd like to give a little breakdown as to what the CPAB is made up of, so we get an idea of what the community is and what the involvement is in the CPAB in Topanga. Currently, we have about 32 members. We're trying to increase our membership. Last year at this time, we had 28. The breakdown is 53% male and 47% female. Business schools, 7 schools. People who are in school, 2. Residents, 21. The breakdown of the community is Woodland Hills, 7, which is 22%. Winnetka, 7, also another 22%. West Hills, 10, 31%. And Canoga Park, 25%. The breakdown of the police station itself is pretty good. It's pretty decent. We have a total amount of volunteers who work at the station, 92. 92 volunteers, and they are dedicated volunteers. What we do there, we populate the detective front desk, the patrol front desk, which is where I've been for the last 6 years, and I'll make a few comments about that a little bit later on. And we have a volunteer surveillance team, which is very, very active out there in the evening, trying to prevent whatever crimes that they can be aware of. And they also work in the community relations office, helping out there.
Bob, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Can you go back one slide? Does the diversity of your membership, and now go forward a slide, does the diversity of your involved community members, does that reflect the diversity in your community?
Not entirely. And that's one of our problems.
Okay. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. We have, we've been trying to get additional members in, younger members, because primarily the people who are available for CPAB are retired people, or people who don't have small children. And in order to increase our diversity, we'd like to get more Hispanics in, and in the Hispanic community, there's a child problem in that they have kids. They work during the day, and it's very difficult to get them to come in an evening, even though we try to hold the meetings at a convenient time for them, and we try to hold the meetings down to 1 hour. It still is difficult to get the younger people in, and also to get them to be able to manage their children at the same time. So primarily what we end up getting is retirees or business owners or people who are in management who have the ability to come in an evening, and it's only once per month. But we also want them, when they come in, to participate in CPAB and be on committees where they actually have to do some work and help the community. And that's been our problem in trying to increase our CPAB membership.
It's a problem that needs to be solved, really.
Right, Mr. President, and I'll add to some of that. One of the things that we're doing is engaging our Hispanic population, which is primarily within the Canoga Park community.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've done is, as far as education goes and getting our message out as a police department as to what we do, is we've conducted a series of community forums. To start off, we've done the AB 60, which is the new driver's license law that takes into effect on the 1st of January. We've conducted 2 of those in which we had over 500 attendees. That was an opportunity for us not only to educate the community on that upcoming law, but also to expose them to our organization and the work that we're doing out there in the community. We've also done seminars with our clergy as it relates to domestic violence, understanding the dynamics of that crime, the truth about drugs, gangs. And in addition to that, we have really grown our youth programs to about a total of about 450 kids, in which we embrace the parents, bring them in and educate them on everything that's going on within the community, getting them involved in our Community Police Advisory Board and other efforts that we have in our community outreach. So we're making progress in that aspect. We're bridging that gap, and we are actively involving our Hispanic community who resides within the Canoga Park area.
Yeah, Sandy? I'm speaking to the microphone.
some of those meetings that you've had, what is the average attendance? Like the driver's license?
Absolutely. On both of those, we had over, one was excess of 500 individuals. On the next one was about 450. Very well attended, very well received, and it was a tremendous message that was given.
Good job.
If I might add, in that, our captain gave a wonderful speech in Spanish at the meeting. I attended the meeting. I didn't understand a word he said other than I got the idea. And I will add that at that particular meeting, it was standing room only. It was well in excess of 500 people there, and they were taking notes, and they were paying attention, and it was just a wonderful meeting.
A message that just rises right through the roof here is CPAB, because of the additional responsibilities and things about the CPAB, that you might want to take a look at how you can actually recruit the kind of diversity that you want in there, that just aren't a bunch of retired people that don't understand what other people are talking about.
Absolutely, and we do have an influx of younger populations that are coming into the CPAB now. Obviously, it's an ongoing effort, and hopefully by next year's meeting, we'll have more diversified, better numbers for you.
I'm not criticizing. I just think it's something that all the CPAB, as we look, like I was talking about before, as we look deeper into what we need to do to gain the trust and respect of the community based on perceptions or realities. These are the kinds of things that we can work harder at.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Moving on, talking about the youth programs that we have here, and this is something that we're really proud of.
Yeah.
And Chief Pasinger, I want you to make a note of this also. Last year at this time, we had a total of 316 youths enrolled in our programs. As of this month right now, we have 550 enrollees in it, which is a 74% increase. And we still have many more enrollees who actually the applications are not through yet. So we're in excess of 550 and pushing on and moving.
Do they reflect the diversity of the community?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Yes, absolutely.
They're not all retired kids, right?
Not yet. Not yet. They're interesting groups because I'll mention something about them a little bit further on when we're talking about our front desk improvement program. Somehow these little kids have gotten involved in that, and it's causing us to do some other actions to make sure that our front desk is getting appropriately recognized.
Good.
But I'll mention that. It's kind of an aside. One of the other things that we're doing is we're using social media communications. We have our own website. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. And we especially use Nixle. And we have our own email messages, our own email setup, so that people can communicate with us and we can communicate with all of our folks on a continuing basis. We're building up additional people who like us. It's never going to be in the millions like the movie stars. It's never, ever going to be in the 100,000s. But in the few thousands that we do have, at least we know we're getting to them and they're paying attention and we're paying attention to them. 4 of the goals that we established, and this is about a year and a half ago when we had a CPAB, not the summit, but the symposium. CPAB direction was changed at that point in time. And we were told that we needed to establish goals and then attack those goals and then report back as to what those goals were. And so we, in the OVB, established 4 specific goals that we were going to accomplish. One of those was to improve front desk performance. And in doing that, it was really difficult because how do you measure what's going on at our front desk? Now, I've been there for 6 years, and so I know what's going on there. And I know some of the difficulties that we have working the front desk, some of the problems that we're presented with, 85% of which are social-type problems, not law-type problems. Many of them are civil. Again, we give advice, and a lot of people do say, in fact, thank you. And some of them don't say thank you. Now, what we have done is we have a little machine that we've established, and that's it right there. And it's got 4 buttons on it. It's the happy or not customer appreciation type
We should have one of those up by the...
Yeah, and you could probably eliminate 3 of those buttons.
Green will be the only option.
And that's one of the things I wanted to mention, that we have this machine right at our front door. And if you've ever been to our station, the proximity of where the front door is to the front desk to where our detective desk is, there's some distance between those. So what we found that was happening is that a lot of people who would come in to get their cars out of impound or who wanted to get property out, and for whatever the reasons, they were not happy with what took place at the detective desk. And so they would saunter by past the patrol front desk and they'd whack the red button. Now, what we also had happen is when we had all these kids coming in back and forth through our lobby, kids like red. I don't know why, but they like red. And every time you hit one of these buttons, there's a cute little beep. Kids are used to having beeps, and then something happens from the beep. And so they come by and they can hit the red button, which they do.
They want us to
and
drop
then they're
into
looking
the
to
water.
see something needs to happen, nothing happened, they hit the red button again. And so our front desk officers were complaining about that because there are reports that come out that Captain Rodriguez gets of what the results are of those button hits. And so these reports come out both by the minute, by the hour, by the day, by the week, and so on. And they serve a multitude of different purposes. First of all, it can see, the report can show as to whether the front desk is, in fact, performing as they should. Red buttons say, no, you're not. But who's hitting the red button? It's not somebody who is unhappy with anything that we've done at the front desk. It's somebody, a little child who whacked the red button, or it's somebody who didn't get their car out of impound, or something of that nature. So we now keep track of those red button hits that are coming from other than the front desk. The bottom line on that is that our front desk, in many, many days, it's total green, 100%, everybody's happy. But on those days where the red's on there, we have a separate report that we give the captain, and it shows so many people came through and hit the red button, and they came from the impound area and so on. We are operating at well over 95% green at the front desk. And from my own perspective and observing the officers who I'm up there with, they work very hard. It's the least desirable place to be in the police station is the front desk. They don't want to be there. They'd rather be out on patrol with the wind blowing in their hair, and et cetera. But they do a good job. They do a great job there at the front desk. One of the other goals that we chose was burglary for motor vehicles. A year and a half ago, Chief Beck made a speech at the CPAB symposium, and he told us a number of things, and one of the things he told us that I didn't know, in that burglary for motor vehicles is the #1 crime in Los Angeles. And in thinking about that, and in taking the telephone calls from the citizens coming in and also coming into the front desk complaining about burglary for motor vehicles, I thought there got to be a way to get that taken down, to reduce the amount of BFMVs. We came up with the slogan a couple of years ago of lock it, hide it, keep it, putting signs up all over the place. And I doubt very much if anybody, once they went by one of those signs, even knew what it was all about. And so I came up with a program that involved the citizens directly in their homes with the fact of if you leave stuff in your vehicles, you're likely to get it robbed, you're going to get your vehicle broken into, and it could also lead into ID theft. That program led me to send out in excess of 100,000 emails directly into the homes of the people living in our area. And as a result of that, our BFMVs have come down, not by the 6 or 7% overall, not by 14% of OVB, but we're down by 27% in our area in BFMVs. We will be sending out more emails again this year. This time we're going to use more city council email lists, which allow us a minimum of 25,000 addresses on each one of them. And we use Nixle, and we'll use all these other social media to do that also. So that would be, that's our goal for burglary for motor vehicles. It'll never go down to zero. We all realize that, but we certainly can reduce it as we have been doing. The third goal was to enhance our CPAB membership, and we're doing that by increasing members and making sure that we get members who are going to perform and do something rather than just sit on a chair and have some coffee and a donut. We have an events committee now, which we didn't have before. We have a government committee which makes sure that we get our city council people into our meetings and participating, letting us know what's going on. And we also have an emergency preparedness committee. And in the case of the emergency preparedness committee, Captain Rodriguez is well involved in that, and he's going to talk about that.
So as it relates to emergency preparedness, one of the things that we noticed within the Topanga area is that our 4 neighborhood councils that we have were operating in silos. We realized that some of the communities were more advanced than others as it relates to what they have as far as a plan. And we know that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we have a disaster here in our area. So one of the things that the CPAP has done is coordinated, created an emergency preparedness subcommittee, and taking those individuals from each neighborhood council that have been responsible for putting their plan together and coming up with one cohesive plan for the entire area. Right now, we're working with the cities of West Hills and Woodland Hills, who are far more advanced than what Winnetka and Canoga Park have done. And we're creating the one plan that is going to go out and target each and every citizen within the Topanga area, get them certified, get them prepared, and make sure that the plan is one plan instead of having 4 separate plans, which is only going to take care of their community. That is one of the things that we have in progress right now, and by mid-year next year, I plan on having something completely together that is going to take care of the entire area instead of each independent community. And ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been a little long. That will conclude our presentation. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We do have 2 public comment cards on this item. We have Jabral Mohammed and Mr. Ted Hayes.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chief.
Sir.
Chief Basinger. You know, I really enjoyed the information. Community Police Advisory Board. However, you know, I like the program whereby he was making effort to reduce car burglaries, things of this nature. But, you know, we're in crises. You know, we need to come up with resolutions. The Community Police Advisory Board, we need to come up with resolutions as to how to stop this brutality in our communities. And what I didn't get from this the significant incidents, you know, I needed to know some significant incidents whereby the Community Police Advisory Board came together and dealt with the matter and thus resolved it outside of a burglary. I'm speaking in terms of where the community has been involved, where the community has been injured. What is the Community Police Advisory Board's response in regards to that? How many of the members participated in the protest in regards to the decisions made in Missouri and in New York? These are the issues that we were faced with that needs to be, how can I say, treated. These are the treatments that we need at this point. And the imagination of our Community Police Advisory Boards, we would like to hear that imagination approach the crises that we are confronted with outside of the burglaries.
They've gone. I'm so impressed with what they had to say that I would suggest that I will recommend that our CPAP look at this as a model CPAP. It's astonishing. Of course, the neighborhoods are entirely different. The demographics are entirely different. I know that. And the things that they're doing now, I'm pretty sure that the police bureaus in my neighborhood are not going to be happy with suggesting they implement these kinds of things. Red light, green light, come on. So I recall when I went into one police station and they had on the back wall, prominently displayed, the banner about this big, that tall, out of service. And I asked whether that was a joke. They said, of course. So I then said, well, do you believe that people come here from other than America believe it's a joke? Or do in their countries the police department operates that way? So it's no joke, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're impressed as well as I am. And I hope that somehow you can recommend that the operation in which they handle it be handled that way in each and every area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
Thank you. We're now on item 8B, continued from November 25th, 2014. Inspector General's report dated November 20th, 2014, relative to the review of video recordings of arrestee transports southeast area as set forth.
Thank you, Commissioners. From my office is Assistant Inspector General Kevin Rogan. This report is a review and covers some of the areas that the Commission has previously addressed in the last year or so. And we had looked at a series of items within the Southeast Division, specifically looking at digital in-car video system and daily field activity reports. And in that review, we indicated in the report that we had found some issues with seatbelt usage as well as the documentation of antennas for vehicles in the Southeast Division. Specifically, we watched all the transports from March 6th to 10th in that division, and 43 transports occurred in total, and 27% of the occupants in the back seat were not seat belted. That's a total of 13. 8 were civilians, 5 were officers. When we looked at the daily field activity reports, we looked at them and identified 40 reports involving 43 suspect transports. 28% of the reports did not include any inspection of the vehicle's antennas before or after shift as required by Operation South Bureau's orders. That's a total of 11 of the 40 specifically. We also found during our review 1 unreported non-categorical use of force, which we reported to the department. And we've been in discussions with the department. The department has made a series of statements in the back of our report that indicate what they will do to remediate the situation. We believe those address the concerns that we've had. And subject to any questions that you may have, myself and Kevin Rogan are available.
Commissioner Saltzman?
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. Obviously, there's a lot in the news about cameras and law enforcement, and this audit helps us see, among other things, how valuable they can be, what an important role they play in oversight. The department's currently, as you know, expanding from South Bureau to Central Bureau and in the process of implementing the body cameras. So I think it's an appropriate time for us to talk about this. At our last hearing on this issue in April, we focused on the antennas, and in that hearing, Chief Passinger acknowledged that the department had, in his words, fallen short in meeting its responsibility to ensure that the proper systems were in place and were being monitored correctly. And we all agreed that going forward, greater efforts would be made. I understood at that point Chief Green said that he had 10 people full-time assigned in South Bureau to monitoring the in-car video system, and Chief Passinger said that he had identified a staff liaison. He also said that he would be directly involving the Inspector General in responses to these kinds of inspections. So with that as a background, my question is to the department, given the hearing in April, given this report from March, can you talk to us about what has changed since April? Talk about the daily inspections, talk about the data that you're collecting, and whether you've been able to connect with the Inspector General on those issues.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. And I really want to start off by thanking the Inspector General for this audit, because it has been, for the last 5.5 years, my goal to make this the best system possible, and it has been just packed with challenges. We initially got this system, here's a camera, make it work. And every step there's been some sort of a challenge, some in our control and some out of our control. And so after the board in April, we implemented actually it was done beforehand, but the check of the antennas and the microphones the officers wear at start of watch and end of watch. And I think if you take a look at the audit, it indicated that there were 11 incidents where that didn't occur. In those 11 incidents, I believe in each one of those, there may have been one where it didn't occur at all, but the others, it didn't occur at both start and end of watch. Most of them were at end of watch. So the checks were being done. In addition, I think that I'm aware of, there have been 2 surprise inspections by the Inspector General's office where they showed up early in the morning, met with somebody from Southeast, went out and checked each and every car in the parking lot, and I do not believe they have found a car that has had an tampered with since we put these systems in place. So I'm fairly confident that the issues that we had before have been completely fixed. As it relates to working on getting 100% compliance in the audits, I was really happy to see that the primary focus of this audit was that we were videotaping each transport, which I think the audit showed. The other things that were found were in addition to the videotaping, the seatbelt issue. We are continuing to work on that. We're trying to figure out a good way to do these audits and get systems in place to follow up so that we can make sure that comment cards, training documented on comment cards, and then action items are done so that we can track it properly. It's not as easy as it sounds because there's really not a single system set up for that. So and quite honestly, with some of the issues in the audit, we did not do well at getting the comment cards written and the action items drawn. Only about half of the action items were drawn, so we're in the process of fixing that now. However,
Phil, is there a sticker in the back seat of each vehicle that says "Fasten your seatbelt"?
No, I don't believe there is, but that just something that simple might be a great answer.
It's going to hurt.
We did, however, in response to the audit, we pulled 10 additional transports on the gang unit, 10 on the vice unit that went with our response, and in those 10, it was 100% compliance with seatbelts. In this last week, in preparing to come in here today, there was the patrol side that we didn't have those follow-up audits. I did a follow-up audit with 10 random patrol transports by those same two officers, and all 10 of those were in compliance. So I'm confident that we have fixed the problem. We're now running into, I said this was complex. We're running into a new problem now. I met with Chief MacArthur and discussed this issue, but as it relates to the documentation of the antennas at End of Watch, where we've failed miserably since we've gone to the new EDFARs, and very significant part of the reason is because when an officer goes out to the station, if they're not done, they're in overtime, the PSRs will OD their unit to get them off of the screen. Once their unit has been off duty or shut down, you can't go in and alter that DFAR. And so if an officer makes a mistake, or if an officer they're OD'd by communications, then they're going to have a failure. There is not a system in place to go into that once it's been closed to alter it to show. So if a supervisor is doing an audit on those logs and checking the log and finds a deficiency, right now we don't have a way to correct that. And then if a supervisor makes a log entry 2 days later when they check those logs saying that they found a deficiency, there's no way to tie those two together. So we'll be working with ITB to try and fix that issue. It's just another challenge that we've seen that comes up every time we turn a corner.
Yeah, may I add? Good morning. From the Bureau perspective and the oversight perspective, and I echo Captain Tingarides' comments in thanking the Inspector General for this report, because it makes us better. Some of the issues that we found that were issues in the report, it actually makes us better. But I want to just read off a few of the things that we've put in place in South Bureau, and then talk about the overarching strategy of how we're going to get better at this in this category. We've issued at least 2 bureau orders since 2013, and the first order was order number 1, 2013, and primarily what we were after is to establish a visual inspection of both cradle ports and document the conditions of the antennas on the DFAR. Once we got there, part of this challenge is the leadership challenge, and is pushing it down as to why. Why are we doing this? It's more than just telling officers this is what we need to do, but we have quarterly supervisor and watch commanders meetings where we really push officers and our supervisors to understand why we do what we do. as Commissioner Salzman stated, this is a national conversation right now, and it's the trust of the community. For a young officer to understand that the trust of the community is what's at stake, we constantly reemphasize that you got to understand why. And it's not just the fact that the antenna would limit the effectiveness of the video, but we're talking about the trust of the community and what we do. So we constantly reinforce that through leadership. When I check out a radio in the morning, and if that antenna is not on my radio, I understand that might be a difference in me living and dying if I need to use that radio. Where our officers need to understand that when we don't do what we need to do with these digital in-car systems, the maintenance of them, the checks, our trust is at stake, the community trust, so we're constantly pushing that. In addition to the leadership piece of that, we have implemented a system in South Bureau. We actually require our supervisors to check, do random inspections twice a day, and they have to log them in their supervisor's daily reports. Now, at the Bureau, the staff of 10 people that you mentioned, we check those logs every day. And if we see a log where a supervisor didn't do the checks, the first thing we do is ask the captain for an explanation as to why, because sometimes there's a legitimate reason. If supervisor got involved in a traffic accident, had to go off sick or whatever, they may not have done one or either of the checks. So we ask why. But if there's not a legitimate explanation, then it's a matter of accountability and holding that supervisor accountable. That system is in place, and it's very effective. Now, I can say, we do have to do some checks because every now and then we see where the supervisor didn't check, but to have the system in place in conjunction with the leadership piece, we're getting better, and I think we're as Phil said, we're pushing toward that 100% compliance. There's a whole list of checks and balances, including the stability of the kit room. Part of this issue, what we found when we dug into this, is maintenance of the equipment, and I know it sounds quite simple, but the maintenance of the equipment really depends on your kit room person doing their job. So in Southeast's case, we had some instability in that position, and it's not like it used to be. Kit room is a very important position right now. We've solved that. He's got quality individuals and stability in that seat. So the maintenance piece will help greatly in making sure that these antennas are in place and that they're maintained and that we don't have some of the issues that we saw in the past. So it's a holistic approach, and we're continually working at it, but we'll get it done.
I appreciate that very much, from both of you, Captain and Commander. I guess what I'm confused about is, as I understand it, the department has implemented a series of frequent inspections on this. If I understood you to say correctly, twice a day. So I guess what I don't understand is why the department's own inspections would not have caught the things that were found in the Inspector General's report.
Yeah, as far as the backseat videos,
just the antennas. I'm talking
the
about.
antennas. Yeah, we do catch a lot of it, and I think with the percentages that we found, was the 28%. We have some work to do. I mean, these inspections, when we get it at the Bureau, when we check the supervisor's logs at the Bureau, we don't check the DFARs regularly, but we do spot inspections, or we have our inspection team go out. That's a random sampling. And, one day it may be 100%, the next day it may be 80%, but it's a constant process of making sure that we're doing these inspections. So we're not there yet as far as 100%.
And what's a follow-up when you find with respect to the antennas, that the check wasn't done, that the antenna isn't there? What kind of follow-up is there with respect to the officer?
I'm sorry, and let me just, before you answer that one, what I'm not sure is clear is when the inspections were found to have been deficient, in any of those instances was an antenna missing? Or are we really talking about the record keeping, but the antennas were in place? So can you just answer that one before you?
Sure. No, and I think I wanted to clarify that too. There has been no issues of missing antennas. The issue is the documentation of the check and whether or not it was properly documented at end of watch and startup watch.
So, because I want to make sure there's clarity, you're saying there were no missing antennas?
Correct.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
So is there follow-up with respect to the officers when your inspections determine that the required policy has not been followed?
Yes, sir, there is. And there's, once we determine the reason, there's follow-up, including progressive discipline. I mean, if it's a repeat offender, the documentation is there, comment cards, could be a notice to correct, depending on what's happened in the past with that particular officer. And the same goes for the supervisor. If they're not doing the inspections that we require of them, same type of process, progressive discipline. It could be training, it could be comment card, it could be more progressive than that, depending on their history.
Okay, and so I get my last question, I think, is for the Inspector General, which is if you can help me understand your answer to the question I asked about the inspections being done by the department, and then based on that answer, whether you think it's appropriate for there to be another review of us that would come back to us relatively soon rather than a year or 2 years from now, given the expansion into Central and the body camera expansion.
I can't speak specifically to the issue of their inspections. What I can say that when it comes to digital in-car video, we've been having frequent dialogue, and I believe Chief Green and Commander Scott had put together a kind of a high-level meeting with a lot of his command staff and a lot of the relevant players in Operation South Bureau to sit down with my staff and work through some of those issues. That was calendared for about a week and a half ago. Unfortunately, it had to be rescheduled. But I'm expecting that we're going to have some very constructive conversations on there, because I think the department is going to tell us everything they've put into place, and we'll get a more fulsome picture as to what the department's done. And we will share some of the concerns and some of the things that we see, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to kind of move through it and limit the amount of issues that are going to come here regarding digital in-car video and get something that everyone's essentially happy with. It's going to be something that's going to move things forward and allow the department to get off this issue and allow us to have some confidence on the oversight aspects of that. But that meeting was canceled. I know we're in the process of trying to set another one up. I think that's actually an excellent development and something that I think we're going to be able to speak frankly to and probably resolve some of these issues. So although I don't have an answer to the inspection, I think that a lot of the issues and a lot of the concerns and some of the items that the captain was indicating, the growing pains in the system, we're going to have some honest and frank conversations, and of course I will keep the commission informed.
When do you think would make sense for you to report back to us on the progress that you're talking about?
If I could first find out a time, as you can imagine, Commissioners, trying to get that many people from Operation South Bureau together with my staff, I don't want to commit to a time, but I will, as soon as we have it calendared, let you know when it's calendared, and then I'd expect that I can brief you or any other commissioner almost immediately after the substance of that meeting and let you know some of the takeaways from that meeting, what we've learned, what we've communicated, and next steps going forward.
Okay, and I guess I appreciate that. I guess my suggestion would be, given where we are in the expansion into Central and with the on-body cameras, that these are issues I think that ought to be brought to the attention of the Commission. And so I would encourage you to be coming back to us, at least with a report as to what's happening by the end of January, or at least let us know why you're not able to do that.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Can I?
Go ahead.
I who participated, of course, in the meetings earlier when we learned about the missing antennas, to say that I was irate would be an understatement. I want to say that at that point, Chief Pasinger, Chief Jacobs, and Chief Green came before us and said that they committed to resolving this issue and that the antennas would no longer be missing. So now that I understand that there is, in fact, 100% compliance with the installation of the antennas, I would like to thank you very much, because it seems to me that it has been a short amount of time from the point where we had the initial report that made, I think, most of us up here crazy, to hearing that there are no missing antennas. What this is a record-keeping problem, and that's not unusual, and I recognize that you all are working on that. And so I feel that I need to say out loud that I appreciate the progress that you've made, and I think that this audit has been helpful to us and also you. It's been very helpful because I think it demonstrates that you are being very responsive. So I know that Chief Jacobs is here, and certainly Chief Pacing is here. Chief Green is not, but I hope you'll convey to him that I think this is wonderful. So thank you. I do have a question, however, about this unreported use of force. I don't know.
I can address that. That it was the information on it was provided, and a personnel complaint investigation has been initiated. That's being conducted by Internal Affairs, and so that will go through the regular process. Thank you.
Okay. Want to move approval of the...
We do have 2 comment cards, sir. We have Mr. Hamid Khan and Jamie Garcia.
The green button is off to the right.
Well, children never lie. So if they hit red, then we know that what's wrong. And Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition and the Drone-Free LAPD, No Drones LA. I'll go back to the red button as well. I think what we have here is, again, we need to push a major red button, because I'm really intrigued and quite disappointed again that the issue of antenna sabotaging that happened, which was finally revealed, where Chief Beck decided not to share it with the public, didn't really rise up to a fundamental violation of people's trust. In speaking to some of the lawyers, and as a non-lawyer, I was told that really mounts up to a conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor, where people intentionally sabotage an equipment, particularly an equipment that is also a part of a federal consent decree as well. So not has the LAPD lied and covered up to the federal government. The LAPD has lied and covered up. Chief Beck has lied and covered up to the Police Commission. Chief Beck and the LAPD has lied and covered up to the people of Los Angeles. And now for us to expect that through an Inspector General's audit, which most of the time turns out to be a memo rather than a very thorough audit, again, what we are being told, that let's just kind of just cover it up, let's go with the cover-up, let's garnish it with an audit and forget all about it, and let's put trust in the very department that has a history of corruption and violence and complete violation of people's trust. So I think what is happening here today is that, yes, there has to be a red button here. And at some point, that red button has to wake you all up from your slumber and say, let's just stop over here, because this cannot continue. Because now what we are talking about is that it is an issue of whether the records were kept or not. Well, the logbook was kept up or not. But yet at the same time, the fundamental issue of corruption and lies and cover-up still remains.
Hi, my name is Jamie Garcia. I'm with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. I'm also a registered nurse in Boyle Heights. So I know that there's a lot of concerns about these, there's talk about body cameras, we have antennas in cars to pick up video, but I think many people here realize that there was video of Eric Garner being killed. There was video of Callie Thomas being beaten to death, and still nothing occurred. So there's a bigger problem here in regards to accountability, in regards to the actual structure that police operate under, because it seems that someone can put gloves on and say, I'm going to beat the out of you. They do. They show up in a hospital, and I saw his injuries. Those injuries were not just happened because he had a mental health condition, just happened because there happened to be law enforcement there. They happened because he was beaten to death. And so any type of footage didn't seem to make that obvious to law, to people who were supposed to hold that person accountable. Eric Garner was choked to death. It's on video. Using an illegal chokehold, but that didn't seem to do anything either. So I don't see how any trust can be raised by you using these video cameras, audio cameras, because that's not addressing the issue. There's a structural issue of violence. Violence continually perpetuated by law enforcement on the community. I'm a registered nurse. I've worked in mental health. I mean, I know how to approach people. There's a way to approach people where you enter without violence, you enter without using a gun, you enter without your hands on a baton, because every time you enter that way, you escalate the situation. And that's all I continually see is a continual escalation, continual violence perpetuated on the community. And honestly, any type of video of that is proven now that it doesn't matter. So what point does it mean to keep logs on these antennas? What does that mean to us? Because we can have straight video of murder and it still doesn't matter.
We have two additional cards. We have Jabral Mohammed, followed by Mr. Hayes.
Again, good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Chief Pace Singer. This is Jabril Muhammad for Bismillah, the Justice Movement. Now, question, why are we having inspections? Answer, because antennas have been missing from the automobiles. These antennas have everything to do with the backseat video recordings that was not produced in an incident whereby a transportee was killed or found dead regarding the transport. Now, speaking to my youngsters, they telling me that what they think about breaking one of them antennas ain't nothing. Okay, so we got to take all that out of the hands of the constabulary. Everything that has anything to do with video. You see how depressed my sister was when she made the statement about Eric, and we had video, yet and still with clear and convincing evidence. What are we going to achieve with it? Now we got to correct that. Okay, we got to correct that. The fact that we have inspections is question enough that something in the milk ain't clean. Okay? So now, until we can personify that by proof, okay, we're questioning everything. We want to prove it. Okay? We want to know who these supervisors are. We want to know the names of the police and driving these cars, especially in the southeast precinct. Because I believe that the 77th or southeast or one of them is where the incident where the brother was found dead in the back seat of the car. Okay? So we need to have all that type of information, all that type of clear and convincing evidence. We need to take it out of the hands of those who would be considered, what do they consider, a conflict of interest.
Thank you, sir.
Ted Hayes.
It appears that body cameras are useless when there is body contact. When there's a chokehold being employed, such as in Chicago, no doubt there's body contact, and the lens is obscured by the contact between the officer and the suspect. The same thing might be true with the microphone on the camera. So once again, I submit to you to determine what kind of view is being seen by this camera. Wide angle, telescopic, panoramic, what's it going to be? Now, a lot of the things that cameras can do are proprietary. Apple might own it, Microsoft might own it, but the police department doesn't own it unless they want to buy it or unless it's incorporated in the equipment they buy. So that means because the equipment is not obsolete, it's just not up to date. They don't have the latest technology when it comes to viewing. But the most important thing is the fact that where the officer places his body, the direction he turns, whether he's turning left or right, will determine what the view is going to be. Are officers cautioned to always point themselves in one direction? That makes no sense. It's not a safe way for officers to operate physically. But the most important thing is the fact that this camera thing really, really has to be thoroughly investigated, and the determination is how it's going to be used. Some conversations have taken place about who's going to be reviewing it. How does it get flagged for being reviewed? Does the officer say, hey, look, guys, I have something here that I'm concerned about. Let's look at it. Or how does it become an item of concern to be reviewed at all, rather than simply turned in as a day-to-day activity? Thank you.
And that is the final comment card on this item, sir.
We have a motion for approval of item 8B.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. On item 8G, Commissioner Saltzman is to be recused, so don't be gone long.
Okay. Item 8G, Department's Report dated November 28, 2014, relative to the Community-Oriented Policing Services 2014 Listen Program to address police bias through Community Mediation Grant.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Sandra, we need your vote. Did you got it?
We do have one comment card.
Okay.
We have Jabral Mohammed.
Oh, we have to vote again after?
Again, good morning, Commissioners. Chief Basinger, this is Jabril Muhammad for Bismillah, the Justice Movement. Relative to community-oriented police services. Community-oriented police services, listening programs to address police bias through community mediation grant. Now, this is the point. This is the point for the phone, drone, roam phone, and we saw that personified with Mr. Cortez in New York with Garner, whereby he took the video and gave us clear and convincing evidence. And this is what I proposed in October when we were at the meeting in the community out there in Green Meadow where we were, in regards to the phone, drone, roam phone. And that is to do this exactly, is to police service listening program to address police bias through community mediated grant. Well, we need the money. We need about $2 million. Actually, I proposed in terms of pain and suffering, the president need to come up with about $2.5 billion budget whereby he can go through the entire country and remedy some of this pain and suffering that we are experiencing as a community by not being allowed to participate in the criminal justice system. Okay. Oh, I object. Bismillah, the Justice Movement objects to the decision made by the Missouri grand jury as well as the grand jury in New York City. We wanted to make that a matter of record. So what we need to do is to create a scenario whereby the people can feel that they're taking part in the criminal justice system. And in order for that to happen, some of these perpetrators, some of these criminals, some of this conduct, it has to be prosecuted. And we're not willing to do that. But we need the budget.
Thank you, sir.
We need about $2.5 million just for Los Angeles. That's for the phone, drone, roam phone.
Thank you, sir.
And there are no other cards for this item?
Okay, so let's do a revote. Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. We're now on item 8K, Department's Report dated fiscal year 2015-2016, proposed budget. And we do have one comment card.
Let's see if we have any. Let's see if we have any questions. But I'd like Mr. Tefank just to go through the process that the commission has gone through on the proposed budget that was presented to us.
Yes, Mr. President, for the public's information and the balance of the commission, the Budget Subcommittee, which is composed of the President and Vice President, Commissioner Sobroff and Commissioner Madison, last week met with Chief MacArthur and Ms. Luna and their budget team to get a presentation on the budget. There was a number of questions back and forth with the budget, and the full item is now before you for your consideration and approval. Then it will be transferred by our office to the mayor's office, and from there, the mayor's office and the CAO will do their work, and then from there, it will then go to the Budget and Finance Committee of City Council. They will do their work, and then from them, it goes to full City Council, and they will then act on the budget after all of those various vetting points occur. So I believe Chief MacArthur is prepared to present to you an overview of the budget and answer any questions that you may have.
Good morning. Sandy Jo MacArthur, Office of Administrative Services. And what you have before you is the entire budget, which is somewhat thorough and complicated, but I thought I would do some of the highlights because I think that's what is always really important. If this budget is approved as you see it today, it'll be approximately 91% of the budget will be salaries for both sworn and civilian. And I think that's always an important piece for all of our commissioners to be aware of because the majority of the funding does need to go to salaries. And that in that salary count means that we would be keeping our sworn workforce at 10,000. And as you all know, we're approximately 600 vacancies on our civilian side. This would be allowing us to continue to hire at attrition, plus adding approximately 140 positions, filling some vacancies, depending throughout the year where the critical vacancies are. Jails, 911, operators and technology, mechanics, things like that. Because we do not know an end date for the majority of our civilian employees when they're going to retire or they may promote to another department, we have to be flexible in those authorities because we may have a critical need that we were not aware that would pop up. So that gives you an overview of what we're talking about in terms of the salaries.
May I jump in on the salaries?
Yes.
I know that there has yet to be an agreement between the league and the city, and I wondered, just to be clear, in this budget, when you talk about salaries, does this show any increase in salaries?
No, it does not.
And that's something we can't anticipate. And generally, if the budget is approved and there's a salary increase, which we're not sure that would happen, we don't know if the city is in that position at this point, but if that were to happen, we would probably not be reimbursed for that amount. We would just be.
And does this budget show the increase in overtime that has been discussed and promised?
Yes, that was the second bullet that I have.
Okay.
We have requested $72.7 million in non-reimbursable overtime. So this year we have $70 million, and next year we're requesting $72.2. That's a million hours of overtime. A million hours of overtime equates to approximately $72.2 million.
Okay, my zeros are off, but divide that. What is it?
$76.
It's roughly
$72 an hour.
Yeah, the average rate is about 76, but we compensate about 95%. So
Got it.
In cash, the remainder is in time.
This budget also includes $19.2 million in general fund money for new vehicles, which would be funding black and white vehicles. A total of 248 black and whites and 155 motorcycle replacements. The rest of there is additional monies that is non-general funded money to the tune of $18.5 million that does not come out of the general fund, and those for all other vehicles other than the black and white and motorcycles.
And the cars that are purchased and the motorcycles that are purchased are replacements for other cars that are probably costing us huge amounts of money to.
That is correct. Our vehicles.
Probably a savings.
There is a savings because our vehicles right now we're running about 110 to 120,000 miles on it, which is way over the industry standard. And when you run a vehicle that long, the mechanical parts or the part replacements are very high. The other additional piece with the new vehicles is it helps to reduce our overall fuel consumption because the old vehicles are very costly. Additionally, in this budget we are requesting 2 replacement helicopters. It has been many years since we've had any helicopter replacements, and there is $7.6 million in the budget for 2 replacement helicopters. That is not coming out of the general fund monies. That comes out of additional funds, and Laura can speak to that. The final piece that everybody is always very, very interested in is the technology. So much of policing is heading in technology, and it's very important that we stay on top of the technology component. We are requesting $39.8 million in additional technology project funding. This includes the in-car video and the next phase of in-car video completing.
Is that phase 3 or phase 4?
That would be phase 4.
4.
Yes.
Because you have 1 is installed already, 2 is being installed, 3 is already funded, and this is the 4th. It's probably $10 or $12 million.
$12 million. Mm-hmm. So those are the real highlights of this budget. I know several people are interested in some of the enhancements in technology that we're looking at, so I thought I would do a very quick overview of that. We have $5.9 million that we're requesting for technology software licensing and training. We have $6.7 million that's funding our maintenance agreements and support. We have $12 million that is is set aside for the next phase of the in-car video, $4 million for our automated property management and information system, and that is a system that is, right now, it needs to be replaced. It's over 35 years old, I believe. Then we have $2 million for the records management system, and that is also required to replace our mainframe, which is extinct. Then we also have $1 million that is in the budget for e-citations. And so this is something that we hope that will help the officers in doing electronic citation in the field. So that should be really an efficiency issue. And then we also have $1.5 million for special events planning.
Does our facility improvements come out of this budget? Like Northeast and, all the, I've been to facilities that need improvements.
Deferred maintenance, you mean?
There's a couple of different things. I think I can explain it, and Laura can probably go into a little bit more detail. The actual, there's Proposition Q that has funded the building of some of our facilities, including Northeast.
So it doesn't come out of this.
So that does not come out of it, but we do have some funding in here for the best way to describe it is if you took a building and shook it out upside down and everything fell out, we have to fund that out of our budget.
Okay.
So cubicles and chairs and computers and things like that, there is some funding in here for that. We do bring over existing equipment that is still within its lifespan, but we have some equipment and additional equipment sometimes because we're adding additional space in some of the divisions. So, Laura, if you want to talk any further about that.
That's good.
That's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you did a good job.
She's trained me well.
Thank you.
Do we have a speaker?
Our speaker is Jabril Mohammed.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chief Paysinger. This is Jabril Mohammed for Bismillah Justice Movement. Chief Sandy Joe. Now, I enjoyed your report, but you threw me off. When you said $7.6 million for 2 helicopters, okay? Now, I need an accountant to let me, so we cut that off. You saying that a helicopter costs us some estimated $3-point-some-odd million for one helicopter? So at that point, I question everything, okay? So now, I want an accountant. I need an accountant. We need an audit of this account because I'm only speaking as taxpayers because we talk about millions, close to $1 billion, and that's taxpayer money, and that same money is killing us. We paying people to shoot us down the streets and things of this nature. So we got to be cognizant of all this. Okay, so I say that we review this budget, okay? That we give it a little bit more scrutiny. That's all I'm saying. And include some community participation in regards to them participating in the criminal justice system, meaning that they're bringing justice about. Well, my people want to see some justice brought about, and they want to be responsible for it. Don't you understand how important that is to be considered an American? Okay, you keep denying. What are you trying to frustrate? We got to be mindful, man. And we're not considerate, and we're not going to be the caretakers, and we're not going to be the guardians of the people we serve. And we may make a reconsideration of our job description.
I have one more question. This is the budget.
Yes, sir.
Is there any money in here to buy drones?
No.
Is there any money in here to buy drones?
No.
Can somebody buy drones without
No.
budget?
And we do have one additional comment card. Hamid Khan.
Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. I was going to start my comments with something else, but I'm really taken by Mr. Soborov's comments about is there any money to buy drones. Yes, there's a lot of money to buy drones. There's money through the Urban Area Security Initiative. which has given $7.2 billion out of the Homeland Security grants, over $35 billion. The drones that you're getting were bought by the Seattle Police Department by the Urban Area Security Initiative, and then they were gifted in a very stealthy way. So yes, there's a lot of money to buy these drones. There's a lot of money to kill people in those 1 million overtime hours that you're agreeing and approving as well. There's a lot of money to destroy lives in the $72 an hour, and then you can turn your back. And as the other gentleman was speaking, I saw the smirks and the laughter as if people are here not to express themselves, with substance, but as if this is a joke for all of you. And this is really pathetic. This is very disappointing that you have been appointed to this body as a custodian of public trust, but all you have to do is to kind of turn your back and start making a mockery of things like, is there money to buy any drones? There's money to kill people. That's what is going on. When was the last time that you did an investigation of all the Urban Area Security Initiative grants that Los Angeles and Long Beach has gotten? There's a report from Senator Coburn that came out in October of 2012, which says safety at any price, and goes to show the sheer wastage of money that is going on. Just about 2 weeks ago, the Public Safety Committee approved another $52 million, out of which money will be allocated to LAPD. So when you look at the budget, why don't you start asking these questions where all these monies are coming from? And then you yourself have been pushing for the Police Foundation. $20 million the Police Foundation has gotten. So this is ridiculous, the way that you're treating people and then turning their back and then making a mockery out of this thing. Is there money to buy any drones or what? Thank you.
Is that the red button?
We have no other cards, sir.
That's right. Shake.
We have no other cards.
Shake your head. Do we have a motion for approval of the budget?
Second.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank
Time
you.
for public comment period.
We're now in public comment. We have 27 comment cards. We'll begin with John Walsh, Jasmine Canick, and Dante.
Okay, let me be clear, okay? If you have a public comment card, you can talk. If you're going to speak from the audience, you can't talk. That's the rule, okay? If you want to talk, I'm going to ask that you leave. Am I clear enough? Am I clear enough? Okay. Let's go. That's the process. That's what's called mutual respect. And that's what we're going to have here. If you talk again, I'm going to ask that you leave.
John Walsh, not present. Jasmine Canick.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome.
All right, so good morning, President Soboroff, members of the Commission, Assistant Chief Paysinger. My name is Jasmine Canick. I previously served in the House of Representatives, the State Assembly, locally to a few elected officials as a press secretary. But I also have the distinction of having a well-documented dual life in the news media, having anchored local radio news, written for numerous publications, including the LA Times and the LA Daily News, as well as my work in television. I'm currently an associate producer for The Front Page with Dominique DePrima on KJLH, in addition to being a political consultant. In spite of identifying myself as a journalist, I was arrested the day before Thanksgiving on 6th and Hope in downtown Los Angeles during one of the protests. I was arrested, booked, and spent the night in the Van Nuys jail. Chief Charlie Beck, whom I interviewed for the LA Sentinel and who knows who I am, was standing right there when I was arrested. I told my arresting officer who I was. I told the officers at the jail. They did not release me. But this isn't just about me. Neither myself nor any of the other protesters from that night should have been arrested. There was no dispersal order given on 6th and Hope, and the protesters were not being violent. LAPD purposely corralled those folks on 6th and Hope and then did not give them an option to leave. I observed the protest on that preceding Monday and Tuesday in South Los Angeles, where the LAPD was hands-off. However, when the protest came to hipster downtown LA, the LAPD's method of operation was more aggressive, and it was clear that the LAPD was more interested in not interrupting the lives of those who were playing and dining and living downtown. My arrest, with over 100 others, was illegal that night, and I plan to fight it in court. In closing, the department has yet again opened the city up to be held liable for over 100 arrests, and the department should be embarrassed and ashamed of how it treated those people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dante. Dante.
Hello, my name's Dante. I just moved to LA about 3 months ago from North Carolina, and your reputation as a racist, murderous police force is more bloody than I could have imagined. You know, since I moved here with Azel Ford, Omar Abrego, you know, the continuing, you know, murders on the hands of you, and you sit here in this room as if there's no emergency. You know, the LAPD needs to immediately be disarmed. You need to take, there needs to be drastic measures. This is a war on black and brown America. Black lives matter, brown lives matter, immigrant lives matter, lesbian, gay, and bi and transgender lives matter. You need to act like those lives matter. You aren't acting like that. Just like Dr. King said, that a rebellion is the language of the unheard. You are not hearing the people. And until you warrant our calls, rebellions will continue in the streets. Things will be shut down. Business will not continue as usual. You have seen this day after day after day. I was arrested the same time the sister was, and there no dispersal order. We were on the sidewalks. You are completely just throwing out any order, any constitutional respect, rights for people's rights to protest. I completely support, you know, the brothers and sisters fighting against drones. We should immediately disband any drone programs, any research, any training that's going on. So the program should be immediately abandoned, and those drones should be returned to the federal government immediately. There should be immediate measures made to empower the community, like the brother said over and over. This still is not taken very seriously, clearly by you all. When very clearly these community police advisory boards are not working, they're not representing the communities, and you all have no suggestions to move that forward because you have shown over and over that you are not interested in actually solving the problem, rather maintaining your position of power. We will not let this stand. We are going to fight until we win. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
The next four speakers, we have Mr. Herman, who's not present, followed by Seth Newmeyer, Gina Campos, and Charmaine Chua.
So Seth Newmeyer now?
Yes.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
All right, I'm here because I was illegally silenced by you all.
Well, give us your name.
Oh, I'm Seth Newmeyer.
Okay, Seth.
You just called my name out also, but whatever. I'm here because I was illegally silenced by you all via kettling, brutality, and arrest while I was peacefully protesting against your epidemic levels of racist violence and your impenetrable culture of impunity. Others here are discussing the outrages of such grotesque political repression, so I'll clarify why many of us were out there because you so disgustingly silenced us. I have in my hands right here what I'm reading off of. It's folded over, but you can see it's all filled with writing inside. Let's see. I have in my hands a packet listing 315 people's names. These are people whom we know were killed by LA law enforcement officers between January of 2007 and August 2014. There may be others we don't know about due to your astounding lack of transparency. Additionally, there have been at least 13 more people killed by LA law enforcement officers since August of this year who are therefore not named in this packet, which brings the total number of people killed by LA cops since January 2007 to at least 328, 82% of whom were black or Latino, a clear sign that these killings are a product of racism and not peacekeeping. I do not have enough time during this comment period to read all of these names. I probably do not even have enough time right now to read out the names of the at least 38 people killed by LA police during this, as of yet, still unfinished year. This works out, by the way, to approximately one person per week for about 15 years, and for a point of comparison, police in Iceland have only killed one person total since 1945. But anyway, back on point, that I will not be allowed to even do just such a short, simple, necessary reading here is perhaps the clearest condemnation I can muster for the astounding lack of democratic power that we, the people of LA, have over the gangsters with badges that are running roughshod over us every day, and then trampling our rights even further when we peacefully protest against that. We need there to be an... Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Gina Campos. Charmaine Chua.
Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Charmaine Chua. I was one of the peaceful demonstrators who was arrested, booked, and held in Van Nuys Jail on the night of November 26th, the night before Thanksgiving, for 20 hours. Many of my fellow arrestees have already noted the baseless and illegal way that the LAPD detained us, and so I don't want to spend more time on that. But I would like to register to the room and to the commissioners present that in every instance of violence, I and many others witnessed that night. The violence was not incited by protesters, but by the police. LAPD officers were pushing and manhandling women, to incite men to jump to their defense, as just one example. Many women I know were shoved to the ground for no reason whatsoever other than that they were talking to the cops and asking to be let go. One woman that I saw had her head bashed in with a baton and had required 15 stitches later. She was left in the street while everyone around her was arrested. She came back the next night and was arrested again. In a recent survey by the Justice Department, more than 8 in every 10 police officers have said that they've witnessed fellow officers use excessive force. But 61% admit that they don't always report, quote, even serious criminal violations that involve the abuse of authority by fellow officers. Yet every single officer that I met in jail that night unequivocally said that they had nothing to do with police brutality, they had nothing to do with our arrest, and not one of them questioned the justifiability of the murder of Mike Brown by Darren Wilson. I submit to you that police brutality is a pervasive problem, exacerbated by systemic failures to curb it. The problems, madams and sirs, is not only that the American police are too militarized, even though they are. The problem isn't that police populations lack racial diversity, even though they do. The problem isn't just that you don't have body cams on police officers. The problem is that American police routinely kill unarmed black people without military equipment or training or diversity. Protests or not, the problem is that police have been waging a war on black people for the longest time, and I suggest, and it saddens me that in the thick of community outrage against this, your entire police commission meeting has been spent talking about the reduction of petty theft and property crimes, but not about the rate of police brutality.
Thank you. Next.
The next 3 speakers, Patty Beers, Jerry Dietrich, and Melina Lawrence. Again, Patty Beers, Jerry Dietrich, and Melina Lawrence.
Welcome.
Hey now, I got a joke for you guys. What do you call a protest without police? Exactly, a peaceful protest. I've been covering protests in Los Angeles for 3 years now. I've never seen a protester get violent. But the level of violence I've seen from Los Angeles Police Department is disgusting. On November 26th, I was arrested along with Jasmine and a lot of other people in this room walking on a sidewalk. They already covered all of the injustice that happened. There was I was live streaming that night. There was another live streamer named Brian. Brian was assaulted by a cop with a billy club, knocked to the ground, hit his head, had a concussion. We couldn't find Brian for 2 days because he was in jail in a hospital ward and he was never booked. I was hit by billy clubs 3 times that night. On Friday, I was covering another protest. I was filming someone getting violently arrested. There was another person also trying to live stream that protest. I'm sorry, this is really, really, really traumatic for me. One of the cops took a billy club and swung it like a baseball bat, like this. And it came within 2 feet of my head. This baseball bat was done 3 times in a row. This cop swinging a billy club like a baseball bat. I don't think that's the way billy clubs are supposed to be used. And I don't think billy clubs are supposed to be swung at the heads of journalists. Also at that march on Friday, y'all need to stop using motorcycles at protests.
Thank you.
It's very dangerous.
Jerry Dietrich.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. My name is Jerry Dietrich, and I'm with LAPD Stop Spying. As I've said in the past, we do not want the LAPD to use drones. Our reasons for these positions are many, but I will touch on only one, litigation. If the drones are used, many people will sue. They will win, since the drones are a clear breach of citizens' constitutional rights to privacy. One thing that has been proposed is that the use of drones will only happen once warrants are procured to target individual persons. The people who will sue are not the people who are the targets of those warrants. It will be everyone else who will sue. And when they sue, the city of Los Angeles will be bankrupt. if they use drones. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners, and thank you everyone for your testimonies in the community. My name is Melina Lawrence. I'm a member of Black Los Angeles Young Democrats and a community servant. I've been covering the protests and speaking to community leaders and everyday people from the Bay to LA for the past 2 weeks. My heart is beating fast because there's an energy in the air that people are looking and asking for questions and for justice and coming together to say and see what will we do next to protect ourselves, to protect our children, to protect our men, to protect our women, and to protect our community. So I've read your core values of the Los Angeles Police Department, and I'd like to know, along with my fellow community members that I stand in solidarity with across the country today, having hearings all over the country, all over the nation, in many parts of cities, towns, and communities. Why is it that officers with the principles in this state that you have a code that you are to be honest, have integrity, and reverence for the law, somehow it can't be possible for police officers to honor this code? And more importantly, the direct question is, why are police allowed to lie, to falsify reports, and perjure themselves when making police reports and committing crimes that result in murdering young black men and men of color? As the department continues to keep these officers on the force, it means that you don't have no integrity. In all you say and do, I believe that this creates a culture of what's going on today and what we're actually dealing and healing from. And it leads to repeated abuse, misconduct, and unlawful shootings of black men and boys and men of color, as it was stated earlier today in another testimony. So I highly caution and ask for you to really look at your transparency and your accountability and really be honest about what you're willing to do for the people here in our community in LA.
Thank you.
Our next three speakers are Sofia Quinones, Shalana Little, and Mariela Seba.
Welcome.
Thank you. I am here to call upon the Police Commission to act, to take a position that drones be banned in the city of Los Angeles. There is a difference between surveillance equipment and military software technology that can launch weaponry. We need, we're looking at all your resumes, I don't think any of you have the experience. You are not forensic technological experts that actually can look at the software to detect what this software can do. If this software is hackable, we just saw what happened at Sony. What would happen if this software is hacked, and could it impact not only the lives of people on the ground, but aircraft? Furthermore, we have to look at what the surveillance capability of this software, how far it extends. So this is not only about the city of Los Angeles, it's neighboring cities, and we have technological advancements that can allow us to see beyond the universe, so into the universe and throughout. So this is not only an issue for drones in Los Angeles, we're talking about the state of California and neighboring states. I think that when you look into the issues of this software, we're going to get into more things of protecting corporations and their intellectual property rights. And in other countries, they've looked at drones and said, who will have access to what is actually videotaped? And that too can be a security threat if there are backdoors to this software. And I've seen it in hearings where someone will call their company American so-and-so, and they're actually not American whatsoever. They're foreign countries. So these are corporations are now coming in, and they're not United States corporations. They're corporations from overseas. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Morning, my name is Shalana Little. I'm sick and tired of the LAPD. I lived in LA all my life, and because of the style of dress that I wear, I get mistaken by a black male. So I'm detained a lot behind cars, in the backseat of their cars and on a curve, being questioned to make sure I don't have warrants, just being ran just for no reason, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of my people hurting. I'm tired of hurting from the hands of you guys. This shit needs to stop. I was arrested the day before Thanksgiving, and I did nothing but exercise my right. I need those charges to be dropped. I have a life. I want to live my life, and I want to live my dreams. What the fuck is America about? I'm scared. I can't even tell on the police to the police because they laugh at me. They looking at me. They don't even listen to me. Who the fuck do I tell on them? I'm tired of this shit.
Thank you, brothers and sisters who have shared from deep in their heart this morning. Good morning. My name is Mariela Saba. I am a member of the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition, representing thousands of Angelenos who rise up together for a drone-free LAPD, No Drones LA campaign. I am grateful that we are each alive in critical yet opportune times. Daily, we have the opportunity to acknowledge and shift the role we each play in our mutual liberation, respect, and oppression. So I am addressing you today from my position of power to yours, unarmed, instead carrying love, grief, anger, collective solutions, and a heavy rainbow of emotions illuminating from the streets, our homes, schools, our movement. I am inviting you with this today to engage wholly in a different, better, safer, healthier path towards demilitarizing this whole ill business, operating under the guise of safety, complete with commission, chief, inspector, thousands of armed police officers, with way too many expensive toys, cars, motorcycles, choppers, rifles, cameras, guns, and more guns, and now at least 2 drones, supposedly stored, supposedly pending community input and policy. Well, penned no more. Our community input is clear and simple. No drones. No further militarization, no police state altogether.
The next 3 speakers, James Lafferty, Jamie Garcia, and Joy T. Chand.
Welcome, sir.
I'm Jim Lafferty, the director of the Lawyers Guild in Los Angeles. At a time of ever-increasing militarization of civilian policing in the United States, the desire of the LAPD to add drones to its already deadly arsenal of military hardware, it's not only ill-advised, it's outrageous. Already, as we know, the LAPD has over 1,600 assault rifles. God knows how many other countless pieces of so-called law enforcement tools that are militarized, tools that should only be found, if at all, on the field of battle in a war. Now, Chief Beck has made a point of saying his department strives to conduct what he calls community policing, to build more trust with the community. How anyone can imagine that deploying drones over the homes and businesses and neighborhoods of the communities he wants to have a better relationship with is going to increase community relation and trust with the police boggles the mind. Already our Muslim brothers and sisters find law enforcement officers spying inside their mosques. Already others of us find undercover officers spying on our political coalitions. Already all of us have lost our privacy when making a phone call or sending an email. Drones are capable of taking our picture and listening to every word we utter as we stand about talking to friends. Or as Senator Dianne Feinstein pointed out in a recent congressional hearing, Drones can hover outside of our bedroom window and record what is going on inside, as it did in her case. Now, the Chief of Police and the Commission have both promised, and they've broken their promises, to hold public hearings on the use of these drones. They haven't been held. And I'm not talking about a hearing in a room like this. I'm talking about hearings that have to take place in every neighborhood of this city if you really trust the people of the city. But I'm betting if you hold those true, honest hearings, what you will find is that the people of L.A., just like the people of Seattle, will run those damn drones out of town on a rail as quickly as they can. So be honest. If you really have the respect that some of you have mouthed today for the community, then show that respect by honoring the promise you've made and have broken so far, and hold the public hearings you promised and haven't held.
Thank you, sir.
Jamie Garcia.
My name is Jamie Garcia. Like I said before, I'm a registered nurse. I'm a member of the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. I'm also representing thousands of Angelenos who rise up for a drone-free LAPD, No Drones LA. This morning at a press conference organized by this coalition, we exposed the biased and dishonest process that the Police Commission, in partnership with the Los Angeles Police Department, is using to push drones into the skies of our communities. It is extremely clear that Chief Beck is manipulating and lying to the media, to the Police Commission, and the public. It is not a misstatement to say one is working with the ACLU on policies for drones. It is a lie. Sorry. I'm sorry, I just lost my space. Okay. However, the Police Commission cannot also idly sit by and wonder why there's no record of LAPD doing community outreach regarding the drones. You instructed the LAPD to do so. You are the oversight committee. It is your responsibility to make sure LAPD is accountable. Therefore, you are also complicit in these lies. Time and time again, we, a group of organized community members, present a very clear-cut case against the drones. They further militarize our police force. Their use will expand beyond stated purposes. They're absolute waste of public resources, and LAPD cannot be trusted. The Drone-Free LAPD No Drones LA campaign is an excellent example of an engaged community and concerned community, yet we are given the runaround by the mayor, we are lied to, and we are dismissed. If you can remember, we asked at least one of you to attend our town hall, and nobody even responded to our email. Our work in the community increasingly uplifts the voices of Angelenos. Thousands of petition signatures, various focus groups, surveys, neighborhood councils speaking out, and the town hall. The community is saying no to drones. Our work also resonates currently among our brothers and sisters arrested and harassed in the streets while calling for justice. We documented the surveillance equipment used to monitor our free speech and movement. We realize you see the people not as partners but as potential criminals. Again, the community is imploring that we stop the militarization of police, stop the killing of our people, stop infiltrating, disrupting our quest for change, stop spying on us. Drones are another example of very secretive domestic surveillance apparatus. We demand the Police Commission to return the drones back to the manufacturer or destroy them. Relinquish control of the public hearings to the community, thoroughly investigate the militarized intelligence gathering and surveillance apparatus of LAPD.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Joy T. Chan. Followed by Isaac. Sorry.
Good morning. Try to stay within the time.
Isaac Chelsky, General Dogan, and Hamid Khan.
My name is Jyoti Chand, and I am a member of the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition and the No Drones LAPD campaign. I also represent thousands of Angelenos who are saying no to LAPD drones. I also work currently in a domestic violence shelter, and just going back to your budget issue, it is completely disgusting to me that you all get millions and millions and millions of dollars to kill and to shoot us, and now I have a diamond-filled helicopter, but the people that I work for in my shelter don't have diapers, they don't have clothes, women don't have shoes. So this is outrageous, and we must stop this. So this morning, again, we had a press conference, and actually one of the stories that I shared was also a feedback from a community member. As we went out and we did several focus groups, we did surveys, we've collected about 2,400 signatures in our petition, but one of the community members, they made the comment, this is actually a health promotora in LA County Hospital, saying, are they at war with us? Are they at war with us? Because they feel that we're living within a military. And, in talking to people and in kind of dissecting this, I've come to the conclusion that yes, LAPD, it looks like LAPD is a paramilitary force, right? Right now, LAPD is one of the most militarized police departments in the world. And you have a massive amount of tactical weapons, human and electronic surveillance technologies. Right now you have tanks, Diamond helicopters maybe in the future, helicopters, armored vehicles, assault guns, stun grenades, tear gas, rubber bullets, tasers, trap wires, stingrays, high-definition cameras, automatic license plate readers. You have the suspicious activity reporting program, and now you have drones. What do you need it for? Is it to kill us, to be in war with us? We have to stop this. We have to stop this hyper-militarization.
Good morning. My name is Isaac Kopnick-Chosky, Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. I haven't heard any relevant discussion about the drones by the LAPD, and they haven't talked about what situations they're going to be used in and how they will be used. Example is, are they just going to be watching vehicles on the street or foot traffic? Can they see in people's homes? We think that they can, but there hasn't actually been any statement from the LAPD. We feel that if you even do tell us a state of reason how and when they will be used, that's not going to be true, and it's not going to be used for those purposes, and that it's going to be used on a daily basis, as is with SWAT and other controversial programs that were initially said, oh, we're only going to use this in very specific and rare situations, and are now used on a daily basis. So we don't think we could trust LAPD with saying, oh, they're only going to be used in rare cases, when you guys basically still haven't thought of a good lie, a good excuse to use them. So basically, we don't trust LAPD, and how do we know that they're going to be used in accountable ways when there's no way to be accountable? It's not like an officer with a name and a badge number we can say, report it, and then come here and say this officer with this badge number did this thing. We're just going to have a drone that we probably won't even see spying on us and doing all this stuff. So basically, absolutely no drone technology should be used by any police department, and by this police department, which is one of the most hyper-militarized in the world. So I think a more appropriate name for this police department is LAPD, Los Angeles Paramilitary Department. Thank you.
So I'm looking for the red button so I can push it, right? Because the sign you got right there, integrity and all we say and do should be snatched off your wall and thrown in a lake of fire. So when you first got these drones from Seattle, before LAPD could use them, it's supposed to be community input, right? So say what we want to, hear what we want to say, and that's you guys' job, right? And so here it is, 3 months, you say you've been doing this outreach, but yet today there is no records of it. There's no records of it because you've been lying. That's why ain't no outreach being done, right? Now, I'm going to tell you, Chief Beck, this is one area where I give him some credit. He started off, he came in the door lying, and he's been consistent lying ever since. So no surprises there. I expect that out of him. But y'all, you work for us, right? And that's a bad thing because you're supposed to be representing us. Your commitment is to us, not to the chief. That's why you got 5 stars and he got 4 stars, right? But now we can't trust y'all no more, right? Because your integrity ain't crap. Just like you arrogant bastard. You can't even sit here in the meeting without disrespecting people. So we want you to relinquish, you understand me, all the rest of the research, the outreach that you're supposed to be doing to the community, because we can't trust y'all to do a damn thing. Thank you.
Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. Communities all across the United States are angry and mourn the deaths and the murders of young black and brown men, particularly black men, at the hands of racist and violent policing. And Los Angeles itself has seen enough of its share. But over the last couple of weeks, we've also seen a very amazing militarized presence, and which has acted more as a counterinsurgency force than what it says right here, to protect and serve, or whatever the stuff that's written on these walls. The question really is that not only, this body continues to make a mockery of what people have to say, but now we even have documentation that how, lies continue to be sent. This is an op-ed from LA Times from November 16th, where Chief Beck clearly says that his staff is meeting with the ACLU to draft policies on the use of drones. Well, here's a a statement from the ACLU, and I'm going to leave this for you, an ACLU on November 21st, where they're saying clearly that this is not true, and they are saying that we don't even want to support the drones used by the LAPD. Then the Police Commission put out a media advisory on September 15th about LAPD already conducting community outreach, and it says they have begun community outreach. Well, we've done extensive community outreach. We even invited you to the town hall. Nobody bothered to even respond to us. Over 2,400 people have signed a petition. There have been over 160 people there at the town hall. There have been several surveys and focus groups, but yet at the same time, we waited to see that when LAPD is, and where is it doing its outreach. So we sent a letter to you, and we got a response from Mr. Tefang saying that his staff has searched and located nothing as to what the LAPD has done. So I think the question really is that how long do you want us to wait? Because I think the right thing to do is, and I just want to add this thing, the Echo Park Neighborhood Council took a vote, and they are sending you a letter rejecting the use of drones. The Highland Park Neighborhood Council has taken a vote rejecting the use of drones. So it's not just when we say that thousands of people are here representing thousands of people, it's no BS. It's like doing a lot of hard work and a lot of work on the ground.
The next four speakers are John Seeley, Jabril Mohammed, Bill Watkins, and Tut Hayes.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. My name is John Seeley. I've been a journalist covering police issues since the long ago, if unlamented, days of Daryl Gates. In the context of today's nationwide furor about police killings, I have some questions for you, so I will not use all my time so that you can have a moment to answer these questions, which I could not get an answer to at the community meeting over Ezel Ford. 1, what is an acceptable length of time for an investigation by the LAPD of whether lethal force is justifiable? 2, what is an acceptable length of time for release of a coroner's report of the victim? 3, process questions. Who oversees the progress of such investigations, and what is maybe causing undue delays? The inspector? If not, whom? Does the commission monitor the length of time being taken for these investigations? Is anybody keeping track of these things? I think what this amounts to, and you have 45 seconds left to respond, is there real civilian supervision, or is all this merely a facade and a charade?
Sir, public comment is the opportunity for you to address the board. I have
addressed the board, and I'm asking now for some response from the parties responsible.
Okay, this is not a question and answer session.
Well, that's
okay, there will be no response. I'm right here, right over here.
Who are you? I'm sorry.
It's right there.
You're a commissioner?
No, I'm not.
Well, let the commissioner, let the chair respond, let the inspector respond.
Listen to me. I just told you what the law is on this. Okay, so there will be no response.
Are you? Who's the boss here, you or him?
We follow the law, and he's a city attorney, and we can't respond. Okay?
I didn't hear that you couldn't respond.
You just did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did,
No,
because I just said it. Thank you. Next.
Jabril Mohammed.
Peace.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome, Steve, everybody. Chief Paysinger. This is Jabril Muhammad from Bismillah Justice Movement. You know, the drones are despicable. If we would turn them on the police, if we could use them to survey, because we need surveillance. And we, as a community, we need surveillance in terms of those who are been given our trust, because they're impeaching themselves where they're losing our trust. So we need to keep a visual on everybody. So I'm with that. If I had a drone, I would keep it a visual on those people that's perpetrating crimes against the community. I mean, you know, but as far as being an effort to prosecute and interrogate and incriminate, no. We don't need that. You know, it's a privacy involved. What's the right to privacy? So we just totally walking all over that, right? But my point here is this. I'm more interested in the murders, okay, and how are we going to resolve them? Now, I was just reading an article about my youngster came about North Carolina, and then he slandered L.A. Well, I mean, L.A. ain't got nothing to be proud of in terms of their conduct. However, in North Carolina, they just killed a young football player who crashed his car, was in the trash car, went to a person's house looking for assistance. She called the police. The police came, shot him 10 times. College football player. Now, they're going to prosecute him, okay, in North Carolina. And I'm saying this, that there's going to be no resolve without prosecution. You understand? Yeah, I know the city attorney understands me well. I know Mr. Solzman understands me well. These people have background. We have to have prosecution. And without it, we're not going to have any resolve. You understand? The people are angered, they're hurting, they're hungry for justice.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Bill Watkins. Thank you. So, there are 3 sets, 30 items I've been printing, 2 weeks worth, and I wish everyone a happy holiday. And I've settled into a minister chair out of the ways I felt I could help the city and community that I live in and the nation and the world. I think there's a lack of glancing back at the Bible and classic guidance for better behavior that we could all use, people and police alike. I settled into that chair. I enjoy it. I think frankly, it's safer. JFK was trying to legislate peace, and he got killed. So I was about to run for city council. I got the heck out of there. Plus, I figured out that was going to be over 300 man-hours just to get signatures to get on the ballot. Man-hours I could use picking up trash and helping my community, and whether even coming to these meetings, instead of soliciting other people's time. I think it's an insane process. It's a side issue. It's maybe for city council. I mean, we need election reform, that's for sure, because we have people thinking about themselves first, then the people. It's obviously a problem. But the material I'm giving to y'all, I hope it's nice. I laminated one copy of your intro to your core values. And it just talks about serving all people. The words all people is important, all persons, actually. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago, to protect and serve even the criminal and the suspect is so important. And as a minister, that's what we do. You look at a Bible where the last is chosen first. It's no one's more important than that person having a bad day. These aren't bad people. Having a bad day. Let's take your good day, say a prayer yourself if it helps, take your time, and help these people having a tough time. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tud Hayes.
On the day of the fire, there were 3, but 2 were dropped from the media. It's a responsible media, and just as there's contagious gunfire, there can be copycat fires. There's a country that makes it against the law to report anything that's factual, true, and honest that would terrorize, demoralize, or panic the public. So in keeping with that notion, the media has not gone back to the fact that these fires on under construction facilities have taken place before. In those situations, it was part of a 99%, 1% controversy. Now, you know the facility went up in flames. It's suspected to be arson. And the other 2 are suspected to be arson. But you don't hear about it. Now, if indeed it turns out to be arson, we find that the protest has escalated to a different and higher and very devastating level. But it was a small level in 1965 on 103rd Street in Watts. It was a pretty big level in 1992. But now it's even higher. So I would suggest that we recognize that there's a tremendous amount of stress across the country about these alleged killings on the hands of black officers. And I'm concerned about the fires, although each one of these blazes were in places that were unoccupied. No jeopardy, I imagine, to human life. But I hope we recognize that this may be the next wave, the next phase of protest. Whether you can do anything about it or not, I doubt it. But at least you need a heads up and an understanding as to what level the protest is taking currently.
The final four speakers are Keon Wilson, Gilbert Salcido, Keith Jones, and Kai.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, President, Vice President, well, President, because Vice President left, Commissioners. My name is Keon. I'm a student of USC. I am one of the protesters that was actually detained on Thursday. I don't know if these words will come to you guys in good faith. I don't know if you guys, faith in us have diminished as our faith in you guys are slowly diminishing as well. I can't seem to understand why the constitutional rights of the people are being violated if it was a peaceful protest here in Los Angeles City, that we had the lowest number of vandalism done in the actual nation, but we had the highest arrests done as well. I understand that you guys have to take safety measures for the non-protesters and owners of the city as well. But when your officers come at an irate, interaction with us, it's just unfair. We elect you guys and elect the actual mayor that appoints some of you guys as well, and we give you guys a certain faith and trust. That trust has been taken away. If you guys want us to believe in you, you need to, I implore you to pass a resolution today that you tell the officers to allow us to exercise our Fourth Amendment right, that we are able to protest in a peaceful manner, that it's not being taken away, that Officer Miller or any of your other officers won't come up to us and hit us with their batons because we are simply just trying to create change in the community that needs it so badly. That you give us the faith that when I do finish school, that I'm working with you and not against you. Any injustice anywhere is a disservice to humanity everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. I'm Gilbert Salcedo. I'm an attorney practicing here in Los Angeles, and I'm a member of the National Lawyers Guild. And I'm also part of the campaign, of LAPD drone-free campaign. And I'm here to urge you to oppose and, for once and for all, determine that the LAPD will not be allowed to use drones in LA, okay? It's been since May of this year that Seattle gave the drones, the 2 drones that LAPD has now, because the citizens, the residents of Seattle would not stand for the use of those drones in their city. And our people will not stand for the use of those drones in our city. You have been promising since May to hold hearings and do outreach and to the community to get community input to determine whether our people want or whether this would be a good fit for our people to have drones being used by their law enforcement agencies. Neither the mayor's office, nor this commission, nor the chief of police, or anybody in this city government has conducted any hearings, any outreach. There is no record of that, as we stated before. Well, I'm not sure if you have just abandoned the thought of using drones for law enforcement, or is that you're going to wait till the last minute to go through the motions and rubber stamp the use of drones by LAPD. I hope that's not the case, because the community will not stand for that. We have been conducting extensive outreach. We have done surveys. We have signed petitions. We have held community town hall meetings. And the overwhelming opinion of the residents of this city is that we don't want our law enforcement to be using drones. We don't want the militarization of our police force. One of the things in the reverberating question in these town hall meetings was, are they at war with us? Is our government at war with us? This is a government supposed to be protecting us. I hope that's not the case. If it isn't, then why are we militarizing our police force?
Keith James.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir.
I can't breathe. 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 I can't breathe.
Okay, now you're becoming repetitive.
The dying, gasping words of Eric Garner, choked to death by the New York Police Department. But what about right here? The decades of brutality, the decades of violence and murder perpetrated by the LAPD, who are rightly considered by people all over this planet as world famous for the murderers that they are. What about Omar Abrego beat to death in front of his house on 69th and Main on August 2nd? Why aren't those cops from the Newton Division indicted? What about Ezell Ford, special needs kid? Cops knew him, blown away on 65th and Broadway a few days later. What about Jay, known as Jay in Hollywood, shot to death Friday? This is a towering outrage. Everybody, we got to shut it down. We got to take the streets. We got to stay in the streets. Everybody here should join a week of outrage all throughout the United States. Everybody here in LA, come on, people. We got to stand with people all over the country in cities large and small who have taken to the streets and said no more to this police brutality and police murder. It's got to stop. In the face of all this violence, including against the demonstrators, let's stand up together and unite, okay? Even with all of our differences and whatever, we got to unite. And we got to stand up, and everybody, Hollywood and Highland this afternoon, 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, and every afternoon, all right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I'm Kei Utsumi with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition and Stop the Drones. LAPD surveillance, especially with drone, is surveillance and criminalizing protesters and their constitutionally guaranteed freedom of speech and right to privacy. Genuine community policing is community policing control, community control over the police. It would stop racial profiling, police killing of mostly black and brown unarmed youth with impunity. LAPD's view of community policing is police control of and even repression of members of the community. It perpetuates police violence. I want to know if this police commission is going to do something, or is it just rubber stamping the LAPD? Stop Spying Coalition, stand up, don't shoot, I can't breathe, and many, many other related protests. Always is surveilled by the LAPD as if we're criminals. We are doing, when this country no longer meets the need of the people, it is our right to protest and change this repressive government system that the LAPD is a great part of.
This concludes our public comment period. We're now in item number 10, closed sessions. We do have one public comment card from Mr. Walsh, who is not present. The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item numbers 10A, 1, 2, and 3 in accordance to Government Code 54957.